everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree and today I'm going to do a discussion video. So get comfy, get relaxed, pull up a chair, maybe a hot cup of coffee or whatever your preferred beverage is, and thanks for joining me. So today's topic is something that I was thinking about moving into the beginning stages of this channel. As I mentioned previously, I was really thinking about this channel for quite some time. I just never made the move. And I would say a few weeks leading up to the days that I fully decided to commit to making this, there was an idea that kind of sparked because, as you might know, I'm going to be a hybrid channel. I'm not only talking about the books that I'm trying to write, but also the books that I want to read. So the best of AuthorTube and BookTube all mashed into one. However, I know there's not many of these channels out there, at least to my knowledge, but hey, flag me down if you're one of them because I would love to watch you. But I digress, because a lot of them that I find is either they start out one specific direction. They might be an AuthorTube that might occasionally talk about what they're reading or what's inspiring them lately. They might be a BookTube where they bring in some of the elements as they are trying to write and publish and query and all that good stuff. But I don't really see a lot that start out as one channel. But those are a lot of the things that I see when I was kind of researching and just watching for fun a lot of the BookTube channel and AuthorTube channels out there. So I do know that there are hybrids, but it's not something, this topic that I'm about to bring up isn't something I hear talked about quite often. And that is going to be, if you are a writer, should you be reading, rating, and reviewing others' books? There's a lot of people who are simply just readers and they have BookTube so they could talk about all the books that they love, all the books they hate, maybe some of them that they're so-so on. But then you have the people who are the writers of the community who tend to shy away from that for one reason or another. Maybe they're just not interested in talking about other books. Maybe they don't want to cross some line that's there invisibly drawn in the sand, who knows? But the point that I'm bringing up is, what side of the line do people stand on? So the reason I bring this up is because a lot of people who are writers start off as readers. I am one of those people. Now, maybe there are some few unicorns who pick up a pen and start writing before they ever read anything. They could be out there. I'm not judging if you are, but I don't know many. Really, I don't know any. But if you're out there, you could tell me if I'm wrong. No shame in that. However, the point that I'm trying to make is that, we all start as reading, because in reading, we find the things that we love, that we hate, things that we would want to incorporate in our own writing, things that we want to stay away from. And that's very much how I started. I used to read for just pleasure. And the more that I grew into myself as a writer with the poetry and short stories and even my school essays, I would always find material from other people and say, ooh, that is something that I love to see in books, or this trope is something I would love to write about one day. And you start collecting all those little things. And, as kids, you might start off as fan fiction writers, Harry Potter for one. Now, granted, I wasn't that much of a fan fiction. I would dabble every now and then. But what I would do is pretty much blatantly rip off things and make it into my own story. A big one for me was Teen Titans. I was absolutely obsessed with the anime. I still am to this day. It's one of my favorite animes ever. But Raven's storyline intrigued me so much. And because of that, I would take her name, basically her entire history, and piece that into my own little stories. And that's how I started writing, because I loved something about someone else's work and weaved it into my own. Now, granted, that was 15, 20 years ago. So now I'm kind of learning that I can't really blatantly plagiarize other people's craft. But my point of that is that if without doing that, I don't think I would have found what worked for me. I wouldn't know that traumatic backstories, especially with anti-heroes and heroes, Raven, for instance, having this crazy backstory of a demon dad, I wouldn't know that I absolutely love backstory in writing should I not have been so obsessed with the backstories of those kind of characters. I also feel like it helped me say, okay, I can't do this, but in my own story now, I can have all of this thing that I feel like will really resonate with people, and I make it my own. Readers, when we become writers, we kind of follow the path that has been blazed before us. I know, for instance, Aragon, whether you love or hate the series, and I've only actually read the first one, Aragon really started, I believe, as a Lord of the Rings style book. I read Aragon thinking that it was a complete similar story to Lord of the Rings. You know, I think it was so successful because it took so many things that the author loved from Lord of the Rings and put it into his own story. Now, whether you're saying, okay, that's a little bit too similar or not, it doesn't matter, but it is, you can tell from history that someone makes something great and someone else might take it and make it into something else. Now, the reviewing part and the rating part is kind of where we get into this tricky thing, because if we have this history of taking things that was from things we like or ignoring things that we didn't like, then when we're becoming writers, is it still fair to rate stuff? Because if we really didn't resonate with a story, is it okay to talk about that? I know I saw on Alexa Dove's channel, I think she posted it in 2018, about a year after she started her YouTube channel. She was talking in a video about how to make and grow your YouTube channel, specifically your BookTube channel. And the thing that she was talking about was positive and negative reviews, things that would garner more views for you. And the one thing she said was that, negative reviews are extremely popular, but it depends on what kind of light you want to put your channel into. And I completely agree with that, because I love negative reviews personally. However, I also think there's a difference between negative and critical. And that's kind of where I'm coming at too with this debate on reading and rating as a writer. Because I think it is important to hear critical views on books that are out there in the world. Because just because you might not have agreed with everything in a book doesn't mean it's any less valuable. And you could still be critical without being negative. Same thing I like to bring into my book reviews, where yes, I might not really have agreed with this part, but overall the story might be fine and it might just be me. But this is why stuff didn't work for me. And maybe there's still some stuff that really did. I know for one, there was a book that I really, really did not like. Did not stick with me. One of my best friends was like, oh, it was fine. I kind of like this and that. And I'm like, nope, just did not like it. And I couldn't really say why, other than this book had stuff going for it without any explanation. And I like something concrete to say why it's happening. The whole kind of gothic, strange and unusual style, to the point where it's silly, not my cup of tea. However, that same author wrote a different book that kind of had these elements of things happening without explanation, but blew me away. So again, if I wasn't critical on my first book of why it didn't work for me, I might have just said, oh, well, I hate it, and that be that, and never have given that author another chance. If that makes sense. I'm trying to think if that made sense to me. Anyway, I go back to that as writers take what they like and dislike from reading. So if that is the case, why shouldn't we be able to read and review books? Because I think if you're a writer, this debate all stems from kind of being in your peer group and saying that if I'm a published author amongst these people in my genre, is it fair to say that I don't like something from them? Because that could be looked down on as negative, even when you're not trying to be negative and you're just being critical of it. I think it also separates the author from their work, because I think a lot of times we can't separate that as reviewers, and you end up dragging an author while you're dragging their book. So with that being said, if we can't separate the author from their work, knowing that an author might be a wonderful human being who is very talented, even though I didn't like their book, people are going to judge you when you're coming after your now peer in your peer group who writes similar genres as you. In the end, my own opinion is that, no matter what the content, you can still read and review and enjoy or dislike books while still respecting them as a work of art and respecting the author. I know that everyone who is in this field or trying to break into this field or just writing for fun or reading for fun, everyone does something that they are passionate about and they work so hard for. They really do. I mean, I know for me, I put my heart and soul into all of my writing. And I'm hoping one day it'll show and I'll be able to get published and say, like, my hard work is out there now. And I know that's how I am for me. And I guarantee anyone who writes something is in a similar boat. They put their hard work, because starting off on this channel, I already can tell you, writing and editing are tough. Querying and facing rejection after rejection can be devastating. Getting an agent, which I don't have one yet, but I could only imagine the next steps of getting that agent and having your book sit and not get picked up by a publisher, and then maybe getting picked up by a publisher and waiting to see what the public sees of this and seeing if it does well and seeing if you get picked up for another book. Every step along the way is extremely difficult. And if you look to the indie authors who are doing everything on their own, from writing and editing to marketing and trying to get their book sold in a way that you don't have big publishers supporting you by, is hard work. So you take just the book away and I can still respect every single author's dedicated hours into their masterpiece. So it might not sit well with me because I'm just either not into the topic, or I couldn't jive with the writing style, or maybe it was just a little bit not my cup of tea, and that's okay. But I can still respect every single blood, sweat, and tear that was put into that book. And I think that's where we have to kind of come at, is that yes, you can be critical and not really enjoy something, but still completely understand that everything that they have done is hard work. So I'm still not really sure where I want to be at the end of this video, because I do want to maintain this hybrid lifestyle where I'm going to be able to talk about the books that I like and didn't like for that month, as well as talk about my own writing process and my journeys and my difficulties. But I also don't want to be viewed as someone who's negative or critical of who can one day be a peer for me, because I'm not. I really do respect and honor and just be fully amazed by the several books that people produce in a year. And I will never be negative of that. But will someone judge me if I dislike their book and talk about it on the internet? So that's where I'm at. I would love to know your opinion on this topic, and I would absolutely 100% be down for a discussion in the comments below. So let me hear your thoughts. Let me know if you think I'm a complete nut and this made no sense to you whatsoever, or if you kind of are also feeling the same way of, should I be doing this or should I be doing that? And if you think it shouldn't matter at all, that's cool too. Let me know down below, and I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye.